Hi, I'm Chinwe, and I've been with Living Hope for 16 years since its inception. And it has been a wonderful journey. I remember in 2007 or 2008, I had just had a premature baby, and my husband and I, we were losing our home. It was just a really, really hard time for us financially. My husband's job had cut his hours down, like he went from full-time to 18 to 20 hours. My premature daughter, she had been sick in and out of the hospital a lot. There were times where, we didn't even know where our next meal was coming from. Thankfully, my baby, she had to just drink milk. And I provided that, so at least she was taken care of. But, there were just times where we weren't able to supply the needs for our household. We had another daughter who was older, Rumi at the time. And we had just gotten to the point where we were at the end of ourselves. We couldn't afford to pay our mortgage. We couldn't afford to pay car notes. Our credit cards were maxed out. I mean, everything that you could possibly imagine had just happened in that season. And I remember we had to go to a debt counselor and a finance counselor. He was looking through all the expenses. He was looking through all our bills, and he kind of itemized them, and he was going down, and then he kind of has this look on his face like, "What's that? It's a Living Hope?" And I said, "Yeah, oh yeah, that's our tithe, And so he says, "So, and you pay this every month?" And my husband and I are like, "Yeah, we do." And he says, "Your problem would be solved right here if you would just take that off. Either you do that or you're gonna be bankrupt. You're just gonna have to file for bankruptcy." And so I remember telling him I'll call back. I need to talk this over with my husband. We need to figure this whole thing out. And I remember my husband and I looking at each other man, this would really be the easy way out. We could just stop paying tithe for 6 months, and then, we'll bounce, and maybe we'll be able to catch up on bills and pay some things, and maybe move things and consolidate debt. And, and I think in that moment, it was a challenge from the Lord to us to really choose to worship. It was important for us to keep our commitment and to give. And so in that moment, we said, you know what? We're just gonna have to call him back and say, hey, if we have to file bankruptcy, that's what happens. But right now, we believe that this is something that we must do. We're gonna keep giving. So we decided that we were gonna keep giving faithfully. We might not know where this meal is coming from, but we trust in his word. We trust what he says, that he's gonna supply all our needs. And we just did that. And honestly, to this day, we can't tell you how. It still doesn't, the math doesn't add up, but somehow we were able to start a savings. We went from no savings at all to, being almost bankrupt to having a savings. Now it wasn't a whole bunch of money in there, but we went from no savings to having something. 2019, we had just lost one of our cars in an accident. And so we just prayed and asked the Lord, hey, God, you know what we need. You've been our provider all these years. We're gonna trust that you're gonna provide for us some kind of way. We don't know how, but you're gonna provide. And so about a month later, I have this dream. And in the dream, it's God shows me by using this man that I'd never met. And he says, come with me. And in the dream, I come with him. He leads me out into this open patio. And there's 2 brand spanking new red pickup trucks with red bowls on them. And I remember thinking whoa, those are nice. Whose are these, And the guy next to me who's leading me there, he says, oh, that one's yours. Thank you for your service. And I turned when he said that, and there were all these people that I didn't know clapping and encouraging me and saying yes. And, and I looked, and then I opened up my eyes. And in that moment, I felt it was such a holy moment, because I knew that was from the Lord. And I was wow, God, what are you saying? And I remember sharing the dream with my husband, and my husband says, he's I really believe that's a dream for the Lord. Let us trust him. Well, a month later, out of the blue, I get a call from a friend. She says, I'm buying you a car. And my husband and I were actually out of town the weekend that she was doing it. When we came back, there was a black 2014 Volkswagen Passat in our driveway. So I have seen God's faithfulness in my life, in my husband's life, in the life of my family throughout the years. And I am so encouraged by it. And I'm gonna just continue to do what I've been doing. I'm going to continue to be faithful to the house of God. I'm going to continue to be faithful to Him, to His word. And I'm going to keep giving because I've seen the results. I've seen God's hand. I have seen Him provide out of nothing. And so I just know that from here, the sky's the limit. And God can do more than I can even imagine. And there's so much abundance that comes from that. And so I just thank God for this season and for the ability to have that opportunity to obey. And yeah, that's it.